is Stephanie. Welcome to my channel. Here we talk about all things book and book adjacent. Today I am coming at you with the 24 books that I would like to read in 2024. Now, I have not included new releases on this list. These are just 24 books that have been on my physical TBR for far too long that I would like to get to this year. First book that I have is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. This is a literary fiction book about twins who live in the South. They are women of color and they are identical, but one is much more white passing than the other. This book touches on the topic of colorism, which is so important. It is a family drama that touches on race. I think that it sounds really interesting and I can't wait to get to it. Second book that I have is The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. This is a historical fiction set in a dystopian Ireland where there's a pandemic ravaging the country, and it is about two women who work in a maternity ward where women who are infected with this disease are coming to have their babies. A lot of them are dying and a lot of the babies are surviving. It focuses on a nurse and a doctor and how they kind of go through this. It seems like it's going to be very emotional. It is marketed as a historical fiction that reads like a thriller, and I also think it's really interesting that it's a dystopian historical fiction, so can't wait to get to that one. Next book that I have is Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Malinda Lo. This is a queer coming of age book about a Chinese American young woman who is discovering her sexuality. The Telegraph Club is a lesbian bar in San Francisco, fictional lesbian bar in San Francisco. Focuses on her experience as a queer Chinese American woman and how she kind of finds herself in this community at this lesbian bar. It sounds really good. The fourth book that I have is probably the one that's been on my TBR the longest. It is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. I listened to a podcast with Ocean Vuong in it years ago, and he talked about his book. He also has a poetry collection, and that's what he really was promoting. This book is about a single mother and her son in Vietnam and how he is coming to terms with the generational trauma in his family and his relationship with his mother. I do believe that this is loosely based on Ocean Vuong's life, so I'm super excited to get to this one soon. Next book that I would like to get to this year is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is a dark academia thriller about a class reunion. There's a murder involved. I've heard great things about this book. It sounds really interesting. Next book I'd like to get to this year is Taylor, she's in my brain. Never Ever Getting Back Together by Sophie Gonzalez. This is a book about a woman who goes on a dating show similar to The Bachelor, and she ends up falling in love with another one of the female contestants, and this is their story. I absolutely love that premise. It sounds so cute. Next book on my list is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is a dystopian sci-fi novel about a man who is lost in space. This is one of my highest rated books on my physical TBR, so I have high hopes for this one. Next book I'd like to get to is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Carrie Soto are back were both 5-star reads for me. Daisy Jones and the Six was a 4-star read for me. This is a family drama that focuses on a celebrity and his children, all of the family dynamics, and I don't know much more about it than that, but I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing, and I am super excited to read the last book in her little like Hollywood world. Next book on my list is Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen. This book is about a young lesbian atheist who ends up getting a job as a receptionist at a Catholic church, which sounds just so fascinating. I think there is a subplot of mystery, and I know that the main character is also going through a breakup, and it just sounds like my cup of tea. It's on my physical TBR for a reason. Next, I would like to finally get to the Inheritance Games trilogy. My girlfriend got me the last 2 books for Christmas, and I still have not read the first one. This is a YA mystery that is compared to Knives Out. It is about a young girl named Avery who found out that she was left a large inheritance from a billionaire. I'm not sure how she knows the billionaire, but she has to complete certain tasks in order to get the inheritance. There's lots of puzzles in this, and I absolutely love the game Clue and all things along those lines, so I think that I'm really going to enjoy this series. Next book that I would like to get to is The Collected Regrets of Clover by Mickey Bramer. I have had this book for so long, and I am so nervous about it. There's something in me that is scared that I'm not going to like it for pretty much no reason. In my mind, this book is in the same category as The Wishing Game, which is a book that I read in 2023, which I really didn't like, but there's absolutely no reason for me to think that these books are similar. I think it's just the covers, honestly. They kind of give the same vibe. But this book is about a death doula, someone who helps people through their deaths, and because of that, she has not fully lived her own life because she's so focused on the passing of others. And I believe that she is given a woman's bucket list, who she is helping through her death. And the woman asks her to complete the bucket list. This is her journey doing that. Next up, we have Welcome to Night Vale, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know much about the plot of this book. I just know that I used to be a fan of the podcast back in the day. I don't know if the podcast is even still around, but when I saw on Book Outlet that Welcome to Night Vale was actually a novel, I got super excited, and I just can't wait to live the nostalgia of listening to that podcast. Next, I'd really like to get to The Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hildebrandt. I've had this book since last summer. I brought it to the beach with me a couple of times, and I just never got around to reading it. It is about an old hotel that has a celebrity reviewer coming, and they are trying to get a great review from this reviewer, and it focuses on all different employees and guests in the hotel. It seems like it's just one of those books that's a character study of a bunch of different people, the micro culture in this hotel. Sounds like a really cute beach read, and I've heard great things about it. Next book that I'd like to get to is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is the first book in a young adult romantasy trilogy. I have heard that this is similar to The Hunger Games in the sense that I believe there are trials. I know that there are some people who have powers and some people who do not, and I have just heard that this book is fantastic. I have seen so many 5-star ratings from different people. I just want to wait until we're closer to the second book coming out, because I've heard that there's a big cliffhanger at the end, and I don't want to do what I did with Divine Rivals, which I sat and waited for months and months and months for the second book, and then I was like mediocrely disappointed. Not 100% disappointed, but just like slightly disappointed. And I want to be able to pick up that next book right away. Next book that I'd like to get to this year is Circe by Madeline Miller. This is a Greek mythology retelling about the goddess Circe. I've heard Circe is a really, really awesome main character. I do know a little bit about Greek mythology, so I think that I should be able to kind of jump into it and get it, but something about it intimidates me, even though it also sounds really, really good. Okay, next one I would like to get to is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Now, I don't know too much about this book because I really do want to go in fairly blind. For some reason, I just have this feeling that this is going to be a 5-star read for me, and I'm kind of putting it off because I'm so convinced that I'm going to be obsessed with it, and I really have no reason to think that, but I believe that this is a sci-fi thriller. I think that there is a memory loss aspect to it. I think that a man loses all his memories and is placed into a different life. Do not quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I plan to read this in a reading my 5-star predictions video, so look forward to that. Next book that I would like to get to is Old Enough by Haley Jacobson. I thought it said Jackson for a second. Haley Jacobson. This is a queer coming of age story about a girl who has just graduated high school. She's come out as bisexual. She is dealing with some trauma from her past. Actually, it seems like she is in her sophomore year of college. She's just come out as bisexual. She is working through trauma that she has. Seems like it's just all about being a queer survivor of trauma. Definitely a heavy topic, which is why I have kind of been putting it off, but it still sounds really, really good, and I'm looking forward to it. Next book that I want to get to is The Measure by Nikki Erlich. This seems like a slightly dystopian fiction. It starts where a bunch of people wake up, there's a package on their doorstep, and in the package it says the number of years that they're going to live. And I think that not everyone gets it, but some people do, and the people who do are trying to figure out why they got it, and it just sounds really, really interesting. Next, I would finally like to get to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I have had this book forever. It is a light magical realism book about a girl who nobody remembers. She remembers everyone who she meets, but nobody remembers her, and that's just been her existence forever until one day somebody remembers her, and she is trying to figure out why that person does. I really want to read my first Kristen Hanna book this year. I have had The Great Alone on my TBR. This one sounds like the most interesting to me. She is a historical fiction queen. Her books are some of the highest rated books on Goodreads that I've ever seen. The Great Alone takes place in Alaska after the Vietnam War. I am not sure about it really beyond that because I do want to go in semi-blind, but it sounds like a really, really interesting historical fiction, and I've heard that her books are super emotional but really, really good. Next up, I have a fantasy book, Curious Tides by Pascal Laquelle. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. It takes place in a lunar magic college. So the magic system is moon-based. It's about a girl who's going to this lunar magic college. She finds out that she has powers that she can't tell anybody about. It also seems like there are some cult-like elements, like maybe this school is a little more sinister than what was thought. I saw one TikTok about this and I was immediately interested. Also, this cover, I couldn't pass it up. It's so pretty. It is my prettiest cover on my shelf, minus my special editions for sure. Next up, I would like to get to Ready Player One. Ready Player One is one of my girlfriend's favorite movies, and she has hyped it up to me so much, so I'm super, super excited to read the book. One of my friends told me that she listened to the audiobook of this and had a really great experience with that. The font in this book is absolutely tiny, so I might go that same route. This is a dystopian book that takes place in the future. It's about a virtual reality. I don't know much more about it than that. Next, I have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is the first book in the Red Rising trilogy. I have seen plenty of people read this and give it rave reviews. I've also seen some people say it's a little bit hard to understand, but this is a dystopian sci-fi. I think it takes place in space. I believe that there are some Hunger Game-esque trials involved. It sounds really intriguing. It sounds different from anything that I've read before. And I don't read a lot of sci-fi, but when I do tend to enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to this one. And last but definitely not least, I would like to read Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This is the first book in the Bright Falls trilogy. They are all queer FF romances. This one is about a girl who comes back to her hometown, ends up falling in love, I think, with her stepsister's best friend. Sounds really, really cute. Cover is absolutely adorable, and I am super excited to get into this. All right, those are the 24 books that I would like to read in 2024 to shrink my physical TBR. Thank you so much for watching. Keep an eye out for my next video, and have a great rest of your day.